What's up, guys? Chandler here with our first real video at Film Appetite. I'm so happy to get this YouTube channel started, start getting videos out and getting more involved with you guys. Could not be more thrilled to have our first video be Christopher Nolan's new film, Tenet. It's gonna be a spoiler-free review. I know a lot of people still haven't gotten to see it, and I'm gonna try to make it on the shorter side, kind of hit the main points, give some short thoughts, and I guess give my final overall thoughts at the end. Without further ado, let's get into it. Sitting down at the beginning of this film, I have never been more excited to see a film in my life. I've hyped this up for so long. I sat down, it started. For the first 5-10 minutes, I had complete chills. It was insane. It was just such a good way to start the movie. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the pacing. I really enjoyed the score by Ludwig that he created for this film, and it was just great. So the film started pretty fast. It's a 2.5 hour film, so pacing is key for films that length. And I'd say he pretty much jumped right into it. And I felt good for a while, and then, I'm not gonna lie, I started to get anxious. I kept expecting more than Nolan was giving to me. I was getting let down, honestly. Like, it was like the stuff he was showing me was really cool, but I was like, okay, all this stuff, like, it was in the trailer, like, I was kind of expecting this, you know, like, when's the real stuff coming in? So, the film goes on, and I was worried. I was worried that Nolan was not gonna be giving me what I had been hoping for. I'd say a little bit into the second half of the film, it started to pick up for me. This is getting more Nolan-like, and I'm enjoying this. It's getting more and more crazy, more and more complicated and complex, and this is what I came to see. So those nerves started to go away, and the film was just incredible. It's everything you would expect from a Nolan film. He gave it to you. It's smart, it's witty, it's complex, it's hard to follow. It's definitely gonna take more than one viewing to fully comprehend this, but that's not a bad thing. So it was definitely one of the hardest concepts, I think, to ever be created in a film, especially a Christopher Nolan film. He has just totally outdid himself with Tenet. Everything came full circle. I believe everything made sense. I have like a relative grasp on the concept and the idea that he portrayed. It was good. It made sense. I'm definitely have to go back and like look at the scientific details and like try to fully grasp those, because I didn't get everything, but for the most part I got it. And John David Washington and Robert Pattinson were just incredible in this film. Both outstanding actors. John David Washington hasn't been in many films, but he's definitely on the rise. He killed it in BlacKkKlansman, killed it in Tenet, and Robert Pattinson, you know, he's been on the rise. He's got some great roles lately, and he's starting to break out of that Twilight-esque that people have put around him. He's a phenomenal actor. He's, you know, done The Lighthouse, done Good Time. He's playing the Batman. He's coming up in The Devil All the Time. Now he's in Tenet, and he was just great. Both of them, John David Washington and Robert Pattinson, protagonist and Neil, they killed it. They were the backbone for this movie. They had great chemistry. They came together very well. Just great casting choices. You know, I'm sure this movie could have worked with other people, but they just absolutely killed it with what they had. I really loved them. I loved them. I hope to see them in more films coming soon. They were phenomenal. I know a complaint a lot of people had about the film was the dialogue being hard to understand, and that wasn't really a problem for me. I didn't watch it in IMAX though, so I know a lot of people that were complaining had watched it in IMAX, and they were saying the music was kind of like outdoing the dialogue, and you couldn't really tell what people were saying, and you know, it was hard to follow sometimes. I didn't have that problem. When the characters had masks on, it was kind of hard to understand what people were saying. You know, that's just part of the movie. It happens. You're gonna have to watch the film multiple times to understand everything anyway. So I thought it was good. No problem with the dialogue. The score was great. Ludwig did a very good job He's never worked with Nolan before. I'm surprised Nolan, for a film like this, did not go with Hans Zimmer, to be honest. Hans would have done a great score as well, but Ludwig really held his own. I want to listen to the score by itself to get a better feel for it, but he definitely took a path that Nolan doesn't usually go down in regards to the sound. He used like this synth and bass drum line type mixture, and it was very good. I wouldn't say it was one of his best scores for his films, but you know, that's not saying it was bad. It definitely was good. It matched the tone and the pace of the film well, and I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to listening to it by itself. And yeah, I definitely think it's one of his better scores. It's not gonna match like Dunkirk, Interstellar. It might be up there with Inception, but you know, I gotta listen to it more. But the score was great. Film was great. It paced itself good, I guess. You know, I was worried about the pacing at first. Once the movie played out in its entirety, didn't really have a problem with it. Cinematography, it all looks good. You know, every Nolan movie has that kind of like bluish tint. It kind of has like that Dunkirk feel to it. And then I guess kind of like Batman Begins, you know, Dark Knight type feel, and some of like the yellow and blue patterns that he uses in his cinematography. My only complaint about the film, and this could vary from person to person, this was just my personal feeling, it lacked emotional connection. And I know a lot of people have complained that Nolan's movies, his past films, are cold and you're not really connected to the characters. I've never really found that to be true. I'm heavily connected to the characters in Interstellar, Inception, The Prestige, Memento, the Batman movies. The only one you're not in tune with the characters would be Dunkirk, but Dunkirk, it's not supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be cold. You're in a war. And even then, he made me feel something. Like, I think I cried or teared up 2 or 3 times watching Dunkirk. This was the one movie I didn't really get that feeling from, and I'd say that's probably my biggest disappointment in the film. Because every time I go into a Nolan movie, whether I'm rewatching it or it's the first time, I'm expecting that. I'm expecting to feel something that I don't normally feel. He let me down in that regard. I'm not sure if that's just because there was so much going on and so much to grasp and get your hold on that like I just didn't have time to like get invested in the characters. I don't think that was it, because like I felt a connection to the characters. I felt the connection to John David Washington, the protagonist, and Robert Pattinson, who played Neil. I felt connected to them, but I didn't feel like a sadness, crying type of emotion that I usually get from his movies. He definitely like got to that at some point, but it didn't make me as sad as maybe it was supposed to. It was tricky. It might take multiple viewings for me to actually meet that and get invested in the characters, and maybe I just need to understand the film more to really get there with them. But that's really my only complaint about the film. Other than that, my final thoughts on the film is that this is by far Nolan's best, most creative, most ambitious concept in film he's ever made. I think it's the most ambitious film of all time. I don't think there's any other director, any other person on the face of the planet that could possibly make this film. Just imagining Christopher Nolan sitting down and writing these scenes out. If you've seen the movie, if you imagine him sitting down and like writing those scenes and having it all actually make sense, is just mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. There's no one else that could do that. He pulled it off to perfection. As far as I could see, there was nothing wrong with it. There's no loopholes. There's no way like, oh wait, that didn't really make sense. Like, it does make sense. You just have to watch it more to fully understand and grasp the concept, because Nolan is a perfectionist. Well, he does the same thing with all his films, but like especially like Inception and Interstellar, he does these things to like scientifically make sure that they make sense as much as they can, even though it's a fictional film. He did that here. The third act of the film, the finale, was absolutely phenomenal. The very end gave me chills. I loved it. Everything came full circle. It just left me thinking about it all night. And today, I feel better about the movie than I did yesterday. Can't wait to see it again. I'd give it a 10 out of 10. I don't really throw around 10 out of 10s that much for films, but this film is essentially perfect. Like I said, my only complaint is like the lack of emotional connection, and maybe other people had that and it was just me, and it's gonna take more viewings for me. I definitely think this is a movie people are gonna have to sit on for a while. It's gonna be one of the films that, you know, maybe you don't love at first, but when time goes on, you're like, you know what, that actually like is a pretty amazing film. And people will come around to like it more in the future, especially critics. Phenomenal film. Christopher Nolan did his thing. It lived up to the hype for me. Never been more hyped for a movie. It exceeded expectations. I really did not know while watching that movie how Nolan was gonna do it. I just didn't think it was possible with the way things were going for him to blow my mind yet again, but he did. 10 out of 10 for me. Leave your thoughts in the comments, good or bad. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What are your favorite things about the movie? What did you hate about it? Let me know. I want to interact with y'all. Leave a like and subscribe for more things in this channel. I'm gonna start posting more, getting more videos out, getting more involved with y'all. So there it is. All I have for you is a word. TENET.